PFL playoffs can make dreams.
Oh, beautiful knee. First round finish.
And they can crush dreams. Brendan Loughnane has lived both. 3 years ago, it was heartbreak. 1 year later, in front of his home nation, he got the glory and eventually his first PFL title. Now, the pride of Manchester returns, looking for a second championship berth.
Brendan Loughnane earns the #1 seed. Second world title on the way back to Manchester.
While his opponent fights to bring another belt to a proud Hawaiian family.
That hurt it bad.
Plus, the search for the new welterweight king continues.
Count it out.
Will the prince take his place as the heir?
This is my year. Nobody can stop me.
Or will a new force claim the throne? Live from the nation's capital, it's semi-final action. Win or go home. This is the PFL playoffs.
Welcome, PFL fight fans, to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., playing host to our final playoff event of 2024. We are at the Anthem. Already some fighters in the building. Shido Boris Esperanza, he'll be on our PFL Africa roster, as will Maxwell Jantunana. They'll start our card tonight, but it's all about the playoffs in the featherweight and welterweight divisions. Welcome to the PFL Pre-Fight Show, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. We take a look at our main card, all playoff semifinal fights. A featherweight main event between Brendan Loughnane and Kai Kamaka. Some welterweight contests as well. Gabriel Braga, a red corner underdog against Timur Hizrev. And look at the number next to Magomed Umlatov's name. He is a prohibitive favorite against Naaman Gracie. We'll start the action right here on ESPN Plus with this early card. The aforementioned fighters from our PFL Africa roster. Jesse Stern comes back to the Smart Cage. And look at the welterweight showcase feature. Ray Cooper III, two-time welterweight champion in the PFL, is an underdog against Mohamed Barkamov. Sean O'Connell, Dan Hardy, Randy Couture, happy to be here for some playoff fights in Washington, D.C. Randy, let's talk about the playoffs and the welterweight division, where we will crown a new king in 24.
Yeah, we've got no Magomed Kirimov. We've got no Ray Cooper III, no Sadabusi. It's open to somebody new this year. Umlatov has been knocking on this door for 3 seasons. Visas, injuries have kept him out of the championship. It is tonight his night to punch his ticket to the finals and crown a new champion in the welterweight division in the Professional Fighters League.
You saw that bracket. The 1 versus 4 matchup is a rematch from the second half of our regular season. That was an incredible fight the first time out. We get it again. And of course, Ramazanov has an opportunity to avenge that loss. Let's talk about the other side of things. The featherweight division has traditionally been one of the most exciting weight classes here in the PFL, and I think these playoffs are that carrying itself out again.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, we've got 2 fighters that are familiar with the system. We've got Brendan Loughnane, a former season winner, Gabriel Braga, who was a contender previously, and then you've got the 2 new faces, Hizrev, the undefeated wrecking machine, and then Kai Kamaka in that main event against Brendan Loughnane. This is a very, very interesting and competitive bracket, and we can see that in the odds as well.
Let's talk about that 1 versus 4 matchup, which is tonight's main event. Brendan Loughnane and Kai Kamaka, 2 incredibly skilled strikers. Let's start with your countryman, Brendan Loughnane, 2022 champion. Last year, he missed the playoffs. Not just missed the championship, he missed the playoffs. And I think that re-energized him for 2024.
It really did. You know, I think I think he almost, in his head, felt like he was going to be able to walk through and grab that belt again. And because it was so challenging, because he lost to Pineda, it's almost ignite that fire underneath him to kind of get him back in there, keep moving forward, and keep proving to everyone that he's one of the best in the division. He's had 2 amazing performances so far, and last night he was in the lobby, he was talking to me midnight, he's still full of energy, proper Mancunian accent coming out. I'm the best, I'm right in my peak right now, brother, I'm going to show everybody. Like, all this energy coming out of him. I don't know how he got a wink of sleep last night, but it's going to be a great performance from him tonight, I think.
Yeah, up at midnight the night before a fight. Come on, Brendan, let's go. Get yourself focused. All right, Randy, let's talk about his opponent. Kai Kamaka, a guy you're pretty familiar with. He's been training at Extreme Couture, and he is on a hot streak right now.
He is. Ray Cooper III's cousin. So he wants to keep this championship in the family. Ray has 2. Kai wants his first shot at the title. This guy's got great hands, loves to use that kicking range and keep his opponent and hamper his opponent's base by kicking and picking at those legs. He's got heavy hands. He's not afraid to step in the pocket and let those hands go. In many ways, Brendan Loughnane and Kai Kamaka's style mirrors each other. Who's going to go out and impose their will and have their way and punch their ticket to the championship?
Let's take a closer look at this striker's delight in our main event. Brendan Loughnane, a force in this division.
Kai Kamaka riding a 4-fight win streak.
This year, I've had 2 quick fights, took no damage.
Being 2-0 in the season is all that matters, and luckily, we are 1 win away from a title shot.
Right hand on the kick, Kamaka with an excellent counter.
I'm very motivated to get this opportunity against Brendan Loughnane. If there's anybody you want to fight in a PFL tournament, it's somebody like him.
Kamaka with a good combination.
PFL loves him, so that's the guy I want to take out.
Oh!
Big cut on the forehead of Gonzalez.
He's experienced like myself. You know, he's a striker, I'm a striker. So let's have a striking match. Let's see what happens.
Brendan Loughnane earns a second-round stop.
He's coming from my head, but I'm ready. Let's go.
Cannot wait for that main event, and we will get there. The 4th man on our broadcast crew tonight is in the building. Brett Okamoto has more on Brendan Loughnane.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. We say it all the time. This is the toughest test in combat sports, and Brendan Loughnane knows a thing or 2 or 4 about how difficult it is to get through this season. This is his 4th time through the PFL regular season. That matches the most ever in company history because it is hard to turn around year after year and take on this number of fights. He has done that. 2022, he won the whole thing by beating Bubba Jenkins there in New York. You just see the relief, the emotion on his face, what that world championship meant to him. He said he was done. He said that, man, now I've done it. The tournament's just too hard. I want to go back and start fighting a little bit less, but that he has not done that. He is now entering his 4th season, winning the 2 fights, getting here to these semifinals, and a great opportunity, obviously, to make it to the finals 3 times out of the last 4 years. Will he do so? I got just the 2 guys to let you know. It is our gambling experts, Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker. Guys.
Brad, it's great to see you again, buddy. And I tell you what, Ian Parker, it doesn't matter how many times you've been to the top of the mountain. You're still going to get nerves, especially when you're coming off a year where you did not get there. So let's talk the main event specifically. How are you seeing this matchup later tonight?
Well, Coach, if you take a look at the betting big board brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, the odds right now are showing Brendan Loughnane. He started off at a -350. He's now -270 to Kai Kamaka at +220. Loughtnane's looked essentially flawless this season. Kai Kamaka looked really good against Bubba Jenkins. Not as great against Pedro Cavallo. I think Loughnane gets it done here. However, this line's too high for me. Let's go to our props. A much better number, -130 by decision. I think Loughnane is going to be a little bit faster, a little bit more clean in the strikes. Kamaka is as durable as it gets. Loughnane by decision, Coach.
I know Ian won't do it, so I'll do it for him. He has been also in playoff form the last couple of weeks here at the PFL. And tonight, I guarantee it will be no different. We'll have picks on the rest of the main card and on the early card as well, and 2 Parker's parlays tonight. But for now, let's send it back to my man, Sean O'Connell. Sean.
2 parlays. I love that. That's coming. The winner of our main event, by the way, will face the winner of Gabriel Braga Timur Hizri. We'll see how we bet that one a little bit later. I want to talk about the welterweights, though, because this has been an incredible season at welterweight. Some surprises, like our #1 seed, Shamil Musayev. He's got Murad Ramazanov. Last time out, Musayev handed Ramazanov the only loss of his career. And Magomed Umalatov has been chasing this championship for 3 seasons. He's got to get past Naaman Gracie and that grappling expertise first. I want to take a closer look at one of the most fascinating fighters on this whole PFL roster, Magomed Umalatov. They call him the Prince, and it's a fitting nickname. Magomed Umalatov has yet to sit on the PFL throne, but also he hasn't been beaten. 16-0 in his career.
He's out cold.
Wow. 7-0 in the PFL.
Big right hand. Umalatov.
He's in trouble. A first-round finish for Magomed Umalatov. Each of his previous seasons have been halted, but not by losses. A 2022 playoff run cut short by visa issues. His 2023 season ended by injury. This year, he's back to dominating. Good takedown here by Umalatov.
Beautiful body line.
And this time, he'll actually fight in the semifinals. There's a tap. Magomed Umalatov in the first round. Which means we'll finally find out if the Prince is ready to be a king.
This is my year. Nobody can stop me. Nobody and nothing.
Randy, let's talk about the Prince, Magomed Umalatov. Still undefeated. When the only thing that stood between you and a championship is stuff beyond your control, you can get pretty frustrated, but he's stayed the course, he's stayed focused. Is this his year?
Man, I love this kid. He's learning to speak English. He wants to be more marketable. That tells me he sees a bright future fighting right here in the PFL. Amazing hands, the wrestling that you would expect from a Dagestani, from a Russian. His takedown skills are amazing. Submission skills galore as well. But we haven't seen anybody really test that. He steps right in the pocket. There's a beautiful dice choke. Steps right in the pocket, lets those long arms go, lets those feet go. He's a very, very well-rounded fighter, obviously, at 16-0.
I'm glad you brought up his grappling skills because that's something we might see tonight. He's facing a Gracie. The last fighting Gracie, in fact, Naaman. He's coming in to pull off an upset.
And he really could as well. He's got the skills, certainly on the ground, but even in the striking range as well. We can't underestimate Naaman Gracie's developing striking. We've seen it in the start of this season, picking up people with his hands, landing solid kicks as well. But of course, if this fight hits the floor, that's where the Gracie name kicks in. He's going to have the great Renzo Gracie in his corner. He doesn't travel very far to corner people, so you can tell how invested he is in Naaman Gracie. The ground game speaks for itself, and we'll see that if the fight hits the floor. But of course, Umalatov might be able to dictate that range.
I can't avoid talking about the #1 seed. This guy burst onto the scene. Shamil Musayev was a relative unknown heading into this 2024 PFL season. And Randy, I'm a little embarrassed to say that because his fighting skills mean he should be world famous.
Yeah, unbelievably. What strikes you first is how fast his hands are. He's got very, very quick, long, rangy hands. He lets them go. They're very accurate. The spinning kicks and the spinning punches all come out of this guy as well. And what you don't realize is here's a guy that's a bronze and silver medal in Russian national wrestling, under 23 world champion in wrestling, but nobody gets past this striking prowess that this guy brings. He's facing a guy he just beat 8 weeks ago with a second-round TKO. Is he going to have what it takes to get it done again and punch a ticket to the finals?
Yeah, that's really intriguing because he did just beat Ramazanov not so long ago, second half of our regular season. So Ramazanov has an opportunity to immediately avenge the only loss of his MMA career. But you got to do it against Shamil Musayev. Easier said than done. Let's get it back out to our betting experts, Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker, see how we're playing the rest of our main card.
Yeah, Sean, thank you very much. Now, we always try to educate and entertain here at Betting the PFL, and right before we start tonight. And Ian, sometimes we cannot control the matchups, certainly in the playoffs. We also can't control the numbers. And when I look at the co-main event, Umalatov and Gracie, let's start right there. And we look at all the different options. You really couldn't find something here that you like. Can you explain why?
Well, for starters, if you watched Betting the PFL podcast early in the week with myself and Coach, we were able to give out numbers. But if you look at the DraftKings Sportsbook betting big board right now, Umulatov is minus 3,200. Not valuable for a parlay. Can't play that on the money line. And if you go to your fight props, there are none. Nothing's being offered. When we gave out our bold prediction of it being a first-round knockout, those odds disappeared also. So, Coach, that's going to be one where we're going to sit back and we're going to watch. I will tell you, I think Umulatov does get it done by a TKO or KO in this fight, but there's no odds for us to bet on it.
It may be an option where a live bet would be the best play depending on how the fight is going to go. So, Ian, let's go to the other welterweight fight. That'll be the first one at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN and ESPN+. Musayev and Ramazanov. Now, we did find a play here that falls below kind of our Mendoza line, minus 200 in MMA. What do you like here?
I like how you said that. Now, first time around, Musayev was an underdog, and we hit that one. That was my favorite dog the entire season. Now he's minus 380. Earlier today, he was underneath that. And, Coach, if you go to look, at some point today, his KO, TKO was minus 200. The odds have come down. By finish at minus 175, I think he gets Ramazanov out of there, and that's how we're going to do it.
And you may ask, why not play TKO by minus 150? Well, it only costs you another quarter, and you can have submissions and TKOs and KOs. Ian Parker, very, very smart. Now, this next fight, I can guarantee you, Ian, we've never made this bet on this show. And I can't wait to hear you try and explain it to the good people at home.
Well, Coach, as betting in MMA tends to get bigger, more options, we're going to do something that people have experimented with, but on the show, as you said, this is my first play. Now, first, let's look at the line. Minus 535 is a crazy number. It's very large. Braga's durable. So at first, I said, you know what? We could take Kraziv to go by decision. I'm okay there. But then it's at minus 200. I am not going to give out a prop at minus 200. That's just not my style. I don't advise it. I don't think it's just a smart play. So what did I find? I found we could go with the spread. Minus 3.5 points, which means that Kraziv needs on one card a 30-27 and a 29-28 unanimously on the other three. You do the math. If we get that, we get the win. So instead of minus 535, instead of minus 200, minus 125. And I think he gets it done.
All right, he's going to have to come out at the start. He's going to have to dominate for every single round. And I'll be honest with you, Ian, I like living on the edge of a lightning bolt. Now, I also want people to remember that inside the PFL Smart Cage, any fight can end just like that. The DraftKings latest offer is just that fast. For new customers, bet $5 tonight and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and claim $200 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. The crown is yours. Sean O'Connell, back to you.
You could always count on the duck, Ian Parker, to find you new things in the betting world. I didn't even know you could bet point spreads in mixed martial arts. That's why he is the best in the business. Look, we're just getting started here on the DraftKings pre-fight show. We got a lot more to discuss. It is PFL playoff action in the welterweight and featherweight division. Magomed Umulatov, a lot of people think he's the favorite in this welterweight season. Shamil Musayev, Naaman Gracie, and Murad Ramazanov all feel like they've got something to say about that. Can Naaman Gracie make good on the family legacy and the big name? Lots more to talk about when we return on the pre-fight show.
When Impicus Langanai celebrates a championship, he comes to Westgate. Now you can celebrate like a champion with Westgate too. Scan now and enter to win a vacation for 4 to sit cage-side at the PFL playoffs in beautiful South Florida. Westgate Resorts, the official resorts partner of the PFL. This advertising material is being used for the purpose of soliciting sales of timeshare interest or plans. Visit pflterms.com for full terms.
After 6 years of military service, Tech Sergeant Barubi wanted to plant roots and watch them grow. He was ready to live in his hometown again. He was ready for the reserve.
All-day energy starts with clean hydration. Element. More electrolytes, zero sugar. You feel the difference when you get it right. Stay salty.
Saturday, October 19th on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. It's a battle of the giants. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, makes his historic MMA return against the 6'8" Brazilian titan, Reina the Problema Ferreira. Plus, the GOAT of women's MMA, Chris Cyborg, takes on two-time PFL champ, Larissa Pacheco. Brace for impact.
Washington, D.C. still a buzz from the press conference yesterday introducing this fight to the world. Francis Ngannou, Reina Ferreira, truly a battle of the giants. October 19th on ESPN pay-per-view. We'll be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, determining who truly is the biggest, baddest man on planet Earth. We're here tonight on the DraftKings pre-fight show for playoff business. Featherweights and welterweights deciding who moves on to a championship as we take another look at the odds. Brendan Loughnane, a favorite. Magomed Umalatov, a huge favorite. Timur Khizriev is the blue corner favorite on our main card. I want to give some context to what we were talking about before the break. Brendan Loughnane got a little bit fired up over what we were saying, what Brett Okamoto was saying, and he let Brett know at the weigh-ins yesterday.
But to touch on some earlier points, I'm hearing stuff like Twilight and ages. Yeah, I'm looking better than ever. I'm not slowing down for anyone. I'm coming off 2 career best performances. Yeah, former Bellator title challenger Pedro Carvalho, 60 seconds. Following fight, again, second round, Justin, highlight reel KO, traveling the world. I don't know where everyone's getting these terms from, but I'm in the peak of my career. I heard that in the back, and I was like, Twilight, I'll show everybody tomorrow night what the Twilight is. I can't wait.
Brendan Loughnane, 34 years of age, Randy. That's young. That's young for a person. That's not young for a fighter, unless your name is Randy Couture. Really, it's about his mentality. Is he still driving as hard for these championships?
Oh, and to his point, his first 2 regular season fights, he looked stellar. He looked like the Brendan Loughnane we saw in 2022 that won it all.
For Brendan Loughnane, he has sent some mixed messages. He has said in the past, I don't know if I want to be part of future seasons. What do we see from him tonight and moving forward?
Look, I think that loss to Pineda really lit a fire under him. I think he feels like it's not as easily as attainable as he thought it was at the start of that season, which is why he's come into this season with a new focus. Like, this is definitely not the twilight of his career. I mean, he is on the world stage fighting for a global championship with 3 other people in the bracket that could quite easily beat him if he's not the best on the day. I mean, he's got to beat Kai Kamaka, but with the energy that he's putting off and with the umbrage that he's taken to the term twilight, I think we might see another level from him today.
By the way, that word was taken from a quote attributed to Brendan Loughnane on a radio show. So you're confusing us, Brendan. We'll see him in the main event. Let's take a look at our early card. Welterweight showcase feature, and that is the return of Ray Cooper III, who finds himself with underdog status as he steps back into the smart cage where he won 2 championships. In case you forgot what this man is capable of, let me remind you with some of the best moments of his PFL career.
You're going to call yourself the best in the world, you got to fight everybody. Any weight, anytime, I'll fight anybody.
His shot is hurt, once again. His shot is hurt, there it is.
from Ray Cooper the third. Ray Cooper knocks out Bobby Campbell. Two-time champ in the welterweight division, three-time finalist, and he's avenged most of the losses in his career. He even avenged a loss in his dad's career twice, where he beat up Jake Shields. Randy, at his very, very best, though, can anyone beat Ray Cooper?
Man, I don't think there's anybody in the division that hits as hard as Ray Cooper. That shoulder roll hook is as good as Joe Frazier's, and Joe was one of the best. I get excited every time this guy comes stomping out of the tunnel because you know something crazy and violent is about to happen.
Dan, let's talk about how we're starting the card. There's a couple of PFL newcomers that made long trips, one from Angola, one from Cameroon, to debut in the Smart Cage tonight. They're part of our PFL Africa roster.
You know, it's really exciting. We're getting fighters from all around the world joining the PFL. Obviously, we've got PFL Europe, we've got PFL MENA. PFL Africa is the next flag that we're posting in the world. These two prospects are going to be joining that roster. We've got Maxwell just there. We've got Esperanza in the fight before him. Both of these fighters, very, very talented, very, very skilled. And it's a real statement that there is talent all over the world. We've just got to go out and discover it.
The Champions League of MMA is being built right here in the Professional Fighters League. How are you going to bet the early card? We've got experts to guide you through that. Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker, teach us.
It is so incredibly cool to see the PFL spread out, Ian, all over the world. And I got calls this week, and everybody wants to be a part of Parker's Parlay for the first time. But we'll get to that in just a second. I need one straight play from the early card that I can look forward to on ESPN Plus and sink my teeth into. I don't know. Let's go Diamond Barzola. What do you got?
Coach, this should be a fun fight, a rapid pace, a lot of wrestling, and we're going to see who's the most durable here. So if we take a look at the betting big board brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, these odds are now each at minus 110. When you and I did our show earlier this week, you remember Tyler Diamond was plus 125. The number has changed. However, I'm still going Tyler Diamond here, even at this number. Barzola has fought high-level competition, but so is Tyler Diamond. He's fought Lockdown. He's fought Habulayev. I think he is the one who's improved his last few fights. We're going with the Diamond here.
I promised two parlays, but we got to make it fast. How about Parker's prelim parlay? Let's start with that.
We're going to go with Nana here. We're going to go with Perez. And we're going to go with the over 1.5 in the Cooper-Brahakimov fight. That's going to get us plus 151 on the prelim parlay.
All right, then how about something a little bit later, perhaps?
Well, this one's a little bit different. We're going to go with Locknane. We're going to go with Kraziv. We're going to go with Musayev. That's going to get us around plus 109. And that's going to be the main card, Parker's parlay.
And finally, how about our bold prediction presented by Puncher's Chance?
We're just firing away here, Coach. We are going to go with a round 2 TKO KO with Musayev. He did it last time. I see it happening again at plus 450. That's our bold prediction this week.
I see a whole bunch of green check marks tonight for Ian Parker, the Duck. He'll be here all night, as will I. But, Sean, I'm about ready for some fights. Back to you.
Ian Parker is great at finding you plus money. Talking time is done. Let's get to some fights, playoff fights in Washington, D.C. Brendan Loughnane chasing a second PFL championship and insisted that he is far from the end of his career. Standing in front of him tonight, a hard-hitting Hawaiian in Kai Kamaka on a 5-fight win streak and carrying an extended family legacy that already holds PFL championships. That's our main event. Fight next.
Sweat isn't sweet. It's salty. Element. More electrolytes, zero sugar. You feel the difference when you get it right. Stay salty.
My man. Coach, welcome to the team. I want to talk about authenticity. That's something that impressed me about you right away. When we talked about products, you were like, look, I can't be part of anything if I don't love the product.
That's right. So when you talk about cheesecake
Uh-huh.
and some of the flavors they were about to bring,
Yep.
that's me. Yeah, it's what I love. That's what I like. And I went through a series of testing to make sure it's perfecto. Who gave me the autonomy to be me.